Hello everybody and welcome to another example of Java, and this time I'm going to be looking at flatMap, and I'm going to use the example with verbs, pronouns and adverbs, and I'm going to create these lists that we've already got here. I'm going to show how we can use these to basically use flatMap to create lists of combinations of these words. So what does flatMap actually do? Well, flatMap basically allows us to take a stream of collections of some sort of type and then basically transfer that into a stream of the types. So for example, before flattening, if we had a array of nested arrays of 1, 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9 in these three different arrays, but they were also contained in an array, after flattening we could basically have that as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we'll see this will become more useful as we go through the example. So let's just very first of all, just to start with, so I've got my public static void main here. I'm going to create a part 1. Okay, and I'm going to just very simply print them all out, and this is very quick and simple because they are lists. We can just print them directly. So we've got our verbs, control, I'll copy that with control D, and then we got our pronouns, control D to copy, and then change that to adverbs. And let's run this, and we can see that we basically get a printout of each three of those ones: ran, walked, stood, crawled, he, she, they, home and the way. And I'm just going to make one slight change because I realized that this one should go ahead of that one, because what we're going to basically do is combinations of he ran home, he ran away, she ran home, she ran away, etc. We want to print out all the various versions of this. So what I'm first going to do is just show using the map and showing how we would end up with a nested structure. So part 2. So in part 2 we're going to have an output. So I'm going to break this down and then I'll show how we can put this all in one line. So this is going to be equal. So we're going to start with our pronouns and we're going to stream that and we're going to map that. And we're going to take our pronoun and we're going to map it. Now here I'm going to break down the code block just to show things a bit easier. So we'll need a return, and here we're going to then stream the verbs, and we're going to do the same. We're going to map that. So we'll take our verb in each one of the verbs, and then we're basically going to create a list of basically the pronoun and the verb. And to close the stream, we'll use collect, and we'll use a collectors to list, and we have to do also the same at the end, and again we're using a collectors to transfer them into a list. And from here we can then print out our output. And notice our output is essentially a list of strings. So we're going to have a list of strings. So we run that. And I forgot the semicolon at the end there. And here you can see the nested structure. So it's put them all together. He ran, he walked, he stood, he crawled. But then it's created that as a list of those ones. So all the ones that start with he are created as a list there and put into that list. Then they work on she, and they're all contained within this one. So we have then she ran, she walked, she stood, and she crawled. And this is all as a list. So these aren't all as a flat map, these are as a nested array structure. And just to show how you can also do this on the one line, so I'm going to do another output, and we're going to call it output 1. And how we can do this all on one line, pronouns, and again we're going to stream it. We're then going to map it. We'll use the pronouns, take off the S there. And then here we're going to have the verbs, of which we're then going to stream that. And we're going to map that also. And we'll take verb, and then we'll take that. And here, from the verb, we then map the verb. We then create the list as list. And then this one, we must remember that we're going to then collect it using the collector. Now this is where it sometimes does help to use the way that they do suggest that you do, which is to do that. So they're here, you can see that that one is clearly for there and is on the different level, and this one is for that one there. And again we'll then collectors dot to list, and again I'm going to take that, and as you can see this one that closes the stream is at the same, is at that level, so they match up there. This one closes this one here. In fact, we should really put that there. And that's how you can do it all on one line. So the only real difference is here is that we've added a code block in there, whereas here we have not. And that gives us exactly the same output. But this is still a nested array structure here, and we want it as a flat map. So I'm going to minimize that, and now we're going to go on to part 3. So now this time what we're going to do, we're going to have still the same output. We're going to do the output, but this time we start with our pronouns. We're now going to stream it, and it's instead of using map, we're now going to use flatMap. So again, I'm going to just break it down to show a little bit more clearly. We're going to return from the verbs, which we're going to stream. We're going to stream that, and this one we're actually going to map, because here we do want to create lists. So we're going to take each of the verbs, and here we're going to create an array list. Sorry, a list as list, and we're going to basically have the pronoun. And we're going to put in then also the verb. So we're going to create those. So basically what we're going to do is going to create each one of these. But instead of creating this nest structure, we're going to create a flat map. So on here, we will return those. Notice at this point, we don't actually need to collect these, because we're sending this back, and the flat map is expecting to have this structure. Because from here we will then close this one here. And when we actually print this out, we will see that this one is he ran, he walked, he stood, he crawled. She ran, she walked. And notice it's no longer got the nested structure. Whereas before, all the he's were collected together, all the she's were collected together, all the they's were collected. Now they are in a single flat map there. And again, we can do this all on one line. So in this case, we're going to make that equal to... So the first bit starts the same. We're going to stream the pronouns. We're going to take a flat map. We'll then take a pronoun from each one. And then we'll put that into use that with a stream of verbs. I'm going to also... We're going to take that stream of verbs, and for each verb we're going to create them in an array.asList, and we're going to put the pronoun followed by the verb, and I'm just going to tidy this up, and then we're going to finally close the strings. So we're then going to close this stream here. This string gets sent back. We find there because the flat map is expecting to have lists of lists. And here we're then going to collect that as a toList. And I'm going to just go thing. So that essentially is the same as this one above, but without the code block there. So let's run that. Just to show that like all the code is coding. There we go. And now finally, let's do the final bit, which we're going to actually do part 4, which is we're going to actually create a flat map of all the possible combinations of he, she, they with run, walked, stood, crawled, with home and away. So this time I am just going to do it all in one go. I'm not going to break it down this time. So we shall start with our output. And again, we start with the streaming of our pronouns. We're going to stream that. We're going to flat map that. Oops. We're going to flat map that. So we start with each pronoun, and then we're going to put that into with the verbs, which we're also going to stream. And here again, we're also going to flat map, because we're going to flat map that with the adverbs. So we're going to take each verb, and then we're going to combine that with the adverbs, which we're also going to stream, but this one we're going to then map. And that goes to the list. So I'm going to just do a quick tidy it up. So I'm going to put the flat map there. Flat map there, map there. Notice each one is dropping down on the list. Then we will close the streams, and we only need the one at the end to be closed. Collectors.to list. That should be an equals. And there we go. One thing I'm just checking that I've done anything wrong, because that is going list object when it should be list of strings. Okay, that's because I haven't actually put that in there. Verb and adverb. Okay, and instead of this time when we print out, I'm actually going to do this on each different line. So here the output, I'm then going to do a for each on this one, for each, and we're going to put item. Actually, I'm going to call it sentence. We'll call it item. And here I'm going to be very, very relaxed. There are better ways to do this, but this will do just to get the point over. So we're going to get the first item, add a space, get the second item, add a space, and get the last item. So this time it should hopefully print on each line, each combination. So let's run this. And there we have it. On each one we have each combination. He ran home, he ran away, he walked away, he walked home, he stood away, and etc. Then it goes for all the she's, then it goes for all the they's. And that's how we basically manage to do each combination of pronouns, verbs, and adverbs. So I hope you got all out. I've linked a link to a GitHub repo where you can find this code. And I hope you enjoyed and hope it was informative. Thank you very much.